Hello folks, this is Tom Martin. This is my lottery strategy game, Decoding the Powerball guessing game. I'm picking my numbers for the drawing on February 10th, 2021. If you'd like to get my game Decoding the Powerball, then please go to my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/Decoding the Powerball. Thank you and please subscribe. Okay, so the object of my game is for you to correctly eliminate groups of numbers. There are 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. Only 5 numbers can come up as winners, so that means 64 numbers can't come up at all. So for me, I think it should be easier to pick the numbers that won't be coming up than the 5 that actually do. So to help me do that, I'm going to turn to the 11 strategies of my game. So strategies 1 and 2, the game card color code, and the 50-50 picks. Okay, so if you've never seen my videos before, why I make them is to show you on how to use my game. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the game card. This is the format that I came up with that represents the 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. I really don't have anything for the Powerball itself. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win the $2 million prize at the Power Play option. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to go to the Powerball homepage. And the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 1, 16, 48, 49, and 65. Again, I really don't care about the red ball. Okay, so what I do is I take those 5 white winning numbers and I put it at the top of this list. And now I'm going to find out what colors they were. Okay, so the 1 was red. The 16 was purple. The 48 was blue. The 49 was orange. And the 65 was orange. So I'm going to color these in. So again, the 1 was red. The 16 was purple. The 48 was blue. And the 49, 65 were orange. So now I'm going to count how many colors I got. So I got 2 orange, 1 blue, 1 purple, 1 red for 4 colors total. So up here I'm going to make this 517 color code drawings I kept track of so far. And now a 4 color combination has now come up 179 times. Okay, so what I want you to focus on here is the 3 color combination. You can see that this has come up 264 times out of 517 drawings. So if you do some quick math, you're going to see that a 3 color combination comes up more than half the time. Okay, and to me that's huge because long term, if I just keep on picking a 3 color combination, I know statistically I'm going to be correct more than half the time. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a new game card. So I'm going to get rid of all these colors and start from scratch. Okay, so my color code is right here. Here's the red numbers, the orange, green, blue, and whatever's left over is purple. So what I did is I took the 69 white ball numbers, I divided them by 5 colors, and that's 1 color for each of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, and that equals 13.8. So my goal is to get as close to as 13 or 14 numbers per color as possible, or a good representation of each color. Okay, so again, I'm going to start in with the red numbers. Now the red numbers are the last 3 drawings of numbers, and the reason why this is because this will give me a maximum of 15 numbers. Okay, so again, I'm going to start in with the 1, the 16, the 48, 49, and 65. The next line down is the 5, the 37, the 40, 64, and 66. And the last line is the 1, which is already taken, so I can't take it twice. So the 2, the 7, 52, and 61. So again, I'm going to make these red. And now I'm going to count how many red numbers are on my game card. So over here I got 3 and 2 are 5, 5 are 10, and 4 are 14. So up here I'm going to leave this alone at 14. Up here it tells me of how many of each color I have on a game card. Okay, so moving on to the orange area, I'm going to start in with the 17, the 33, the 35, 42, and 52. You can see that 52 is already taken. So the next line down is the 5, which is taken, so the 8. The 17 is taken, so the 27 and 28. The next line down is the 40, which is taken, so the 53, the 60, 68, and 69. And the last line is the 14, the 20, 39, 65, and 67. So the 65 is taken, so the 67, and now I'm going to make these orange. So now I'm going to count how many orange numbers I have. So over here I got 6, and 6 is 12, and 3 are 15. So up here I'm going to make this 15. Okay, so now I move on to the green area, then the blue, and whatever's left over is purple. But what I'm going to do is, just to speed things up a little bit, I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like for February 10th, 2021. So again, there was 14 red numbers, 15 orange, turned out to be 15 green, 15 blue, and 10 purple numbers. Okay, so again, more than half the time, a 3-color combination comes up. So that means more than half the time, 2 colors are not coming up, and that's what I want to focus on here. Okay, so again, the object of the game is to eliminate groups of numbers. So the strategy here is try to correctly guess what color group will not be coming up and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so I do want to point out that all 5 colors do come up. It's come up 20 times out of 517 drawings. So it comes up, but it's very rare. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a prediction on what color group will not be coming up. And to help me make a decision, I'm going to turn to the next strategy called the 50-50 picks. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the 50-50 picks. So again, there's 5 white winning Powerball numbers, which means there has to be a majority of either odd numbers or even numbers, or numbers to the high side or numbers to the low side. So I like to keep track of this and try to correctly guess what the majority will be for the upcoming drawing. Okay, so I kind of use these 50-50 picks as kind of like a roadmap to what I think would be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is make this 558. And this is how many drawings I kept track of so far. And basically this goes back to October 7th, 2015. That's when the Powerball lottery went from 59 numbers to 69 numbers. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the game card to find out how many odd and even numbers have just come up. So I got an odd, even, odd, odd. So 3 odd numbers and 2 evens. So I'm going to highlight the majority, which is odds. And now I'm going to make this 296. So out of 558 drawings, 296 drawings have come up the majority of odd numbers, and 262 drawings have come up the majority of even numbers. Okay, so to help me give me a clue on what the majority will be, what I like to do is break things down into 5 again. Okay, so out of this 5 drawings, you can see that the majority has been odd numbers. Before that, it was odds, then finally evens. Okay, so I kept this all the way up from the beginning. Okay, so I could go all the way back to October 7th if I want to, 2015. But I like to hover around the top here. Just the recent ones, kind of like what really matters to me. And what I like to do is go in the past, in the history for the last 20 drawings. Okay, so out of this 20 drawings here, you can see the majority has been to the odd numbers. And what I'm going to do is, my prediction is I think that there's going to be more even numbers than odd numbers. Okay, so I'm just going to write that down to remind myself what I picked. And again, I think more even numbers will come up than odd. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Now I have 4 of these total. So I have odds and evens, then I have high and low, I have left and right, and this red and blue area. Okay, so looking at the high and low here, all the numbers in blue are considered low, all the ones in red are considered high. And you can see this is at 281 to 277 after all these drawings. Okay, so looking at this one, you can see that the last 20 drawings have been even. So I like to give myself as much information as possible. Okay, so this is why I created this 3 to 2. Okay, this tells me what the majority was. Okay, 3 to 2, 3 to 2, 3 to 2. Okay, so the point is, I haven't seen a 4 to 1 in a while. Okay, so I'm going to predict that this is going to be 4 to 1, which means I think low is going to come up in the next 2 drawings. Okay, so I think more low numbers are going to come up than high. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Again, it's all just a guess. But for right now, my guess is that more low numbers will come up than high. Okay, so moving on. My next one is left and right, and you can see that this is very close as well, 281 to 277. And looking at this, I see 4 to 1, 4 to 1, 4 to 1. So now I'm thinking that this is going to be 3 to 2. And looking at the last 20, you can see it's been to the left side. So I'm going to predict that more numbers are going to be to the right side than the left side. So I'm going to write that down as well. More to the right side than the left. And the last one I have is this red and blue area. Okay, so this is 303 to 255. And looking at the last 20 drawings, it's clearly to the red. Last 3 drawings have been to the red. So I'm going to predict that more numbers in the blue area are going to come up than the red. So I'll write that down as well. More to the blue than the red. Okay, so here I like to invite you to play along. Okay, so I like you to write down what you think that the 50-50 picks will be. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my prediction on what color group will not be coming up. Okay, and for me, I'm going to go with no green numbers. All right, so the reason why for me, and again, we're all going to look at this differently, but for me, again, I think more even numbers are going to come up than odd. And as I look at the green numbers, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 green numbers out of 15. Okay, so the majority is way more to the odds. Okay, and as I look at this, there's this 19 shares the square with this 67, and the 25 shares the square with this 65. Okay, so I have all these green numbers in this red area, and I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the blue. And what I mean by that is, let me go back to the 50-50 picks real quick. And again, this is what I mean by the red and blue area. Okay, so this is why I'm going to get rid of the green. And another reason why, just to throw this on top, is as I look from here down to here, I just see a bunch of green. Okay, so I just think that it's been really, really hot, and now I think it's going to cool down. Okay, so I'm going to block out all these green numbers. Okay, so when I block out numbers like this, this means I'm not even going to consider these numbers when I'm picking what I think would be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm spending $3 on a Powerball ticket, which includes the power play. Okay, so in other words, I'm betting $3 that none of these green numbers will come up in the next drawing. So, if I'm correct with my bet and none of these green numbers come up, then I'm one step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so I'm moving on to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 3, the individual numbers. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the individual numbers. Okay, so basically what I did here is I took all 69 numbers and I divided it into 7 different groups. Okay, so this is group number 1. It holds the numbers of 1 through 9. Of course, this is the only group with 9 numbers, where the other 6 have 10 for 69 numbers. Okay, so how you read this is this, all these light squares right here, this is good for 5 drawings. And again, I like to break things down into 5. Okay, so how you read this is over here are the numbers that just came up. Again, it was the 1, 16, 48, 49, 65. And this 4 tells me that I hit 4 out of the 7 groups. Okay, so in other words, 3 of these groups did not have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so let me explain to you why I break things down into 5 here. Okay, and this is just a theory. Okay, so my theory is that if there's a lot of hits within this 5 drawings here, then maybe there won't be so many hits in the next 5 drawings, or vice versa. Okay, so that's one way I like to look at things. All right, so let me update this here. Okay, I'm going to update the 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow this plane until I find the 1. And now I'm going to make this square red. Now I'm making it red because the 1 is red. And the 1 is red because the color code said it was red. Okay, so I like to use this a couple of different ways. And one, I'm going to give you this example about how I was looking at this and I didn't see any red marks. Okay, so I see blue, 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 orange, purple, green, orange, blue, green. I don't see any red. Okay, so as I was looking at this, I was thinking to myself, okay, I don't see any red marks. I think a red mark is going to be coming up here pretty soon. And finally it did. Okay, so what does that mean? Okay, so let's look at the numbers of 1 through 9 on the game card and see if there's any in the red area. So I got the 1, I got the 2, I got the 5, and the 7. Okay, so this is what I mean by having a red mark come up. You know, if I think another red mark will be coming up, then which one is it going to be? Is it going to be the 1, 2, the 5, or the 7? Okay, so long story short here, what I'm trying to do is if a color hasn't come up in a while, then I want to look for that because maybe it's due to come up here pretty soon. Okay, so let's take a look at this, the numbers of 1 through 9, and see if there's any colors that haven't come up in a while. Okay, so again, I got red, orange, green, blue, and purple. And right now I don't see any purple numbers. Okay, so finally here's a purple. So let's go back to see if there's any purple numbers on the game card of 1 through 9. And there is, the 9. Okay, so maybe this 9 will be coming up this drawing or maybe very soon. Okay, who knows? But something to keep your eye out on, or something to keep my eye out on. Okay, so moving on. 10 through 19. Okay, so I see red, orange, green, blue, and purple. So they're all pretty current. So the 20s, I don't see any orange. Finally, here's an orange right here. So let's take a look at the 20s. So I got the 20, I got the 27 and 28 that I may want to think about. All right. So as I look at this, I could say, okay, the 20, where's that in the orange? That's right here. So if this 20 doesn't come up tonight, then it's going to go out of the orange area and go in the green. So maybe it's due to come up. Okay. So moving on to the 30s. Again, I don't see any red. And finally, here's one down here. So let's take a look. So I got the 37. And that's it. So maybe that 37, maybe it will be the 20 and 37 that will be coming up. Okay, so moving on to the 40s. So I see red, orange, green, blue. I see all the colors, so I'm going to leave that one alone. Here in the 50s, I see red, orange, green. I don't see any purple. Finally, there's a purple. So I got the 50, 55, and 59 that are purple. And going to the 60s, the last one, I don't see any red. Finally, here's a red, so let's see what's in. So I got the 61, the 64, the 66, and the 65. Okay, so there's 4 red 60 numbers. All right, so maybe one of those will be coming up as well. Okay, so here's the thing though. All right, the overall strategy is this, that there's 5 winning Powerball numbers, and there's 7 of these groups. So I know that 2 of these groups cannot have a winning Powerball number to it. So again, the overall strategy is try to correctly guess what group will not have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so looking at this, I find that the average is right around 4 numbers will come up in 5 drawings. That's what I find the average to be. Okay, so over here between 1 through 9, you can see that there's 5 numbers that have come up. Okay, so it's kind of like over average. Okay, so is it going to go 6 or whatever? All right. So here's the thing. When I go back to my 50-50 picks, I thought there was going to be more low numbers that will come up than high. Okay, so I want to look at the high side to predict where I don't think the numbers are going to be. Okay, because I think the majority will be to the low. Okay, so over here I'm looking at the 60s. I see that there's been 4 numbers, and before that there was 5, before that there was 5. So I'm going to say that I think it's going to stay here at 4, and I don't think there's going to be any 60 numbers that come up here or here. Okay, but I'm just going to concentrate on this drawing right now, and I'm not going to worry about the future drawings. Okay, so this drawing right now, I'm going to predict that there's going to be no 60 numbers. So I'm going to blow this back up. I'm going to go to the game card, and I'm going to eliminate the 60 numbers off of my game card. Okay, so here's the 66, the 67, the 65, the 69, the 68, 60, and the 61 to the 64. I'll get rid of all those numbers, and hopefully they do not come up. Okay, so here's the thing. If I made the correct pick so far, and none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers still have to be left here on my game card as a highlighted number. Okay, so now I'm moving on to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 4 to 11, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 3 to group 11. Okay, so let's take a look at this. And what I mean by this is group 3. And why it's called group 3 is because I simply divided all the numbers into 3 different color groups. Okay, so I got red, blue, and orange. Okay, so there's 69 numbers, so I divided this evenly, so each color has 23 numbers. Okay, so if there's a hit, like here, I colored the background red for hot. And if there's ever a miss, like right here, I colored the background blue for cold. Okay, so here's the thing with this last drawing. Again, the winning numbers were the 1, which is here in red, 16 in orange, 48 in red, so there's 2 red, 49 in blue, 2 red, 1 orange, 1 blue, and 65 in blue. Okay, so I had 2 red, 2 blue, and 1 orange. Now this has gone 57 drawings in a row where it hasn't been a blue mark. And I'm wondering when that's going to happen, because I love to pick it correctly. Okay, so this mark means that I picked this in the last drawing. I said none of these red numbers will come up, so I eliminated all these red numbers off of my game card, and I got burned because the 1 and the other number came up. Okay, so the 1 and the 48. Okay, so that was wrong, and that stinks. Okay, so again, I'm always looking at this, but I feel that it's going to have a 0 here pretty soon, but I really don't want to knock out 23 numbers and have a couple of those numbers come up in a lottery. Okay, so here's the thing. Now I have group 3, where I divided things into 3 different color groups. Then I have group 4, where I divided things into 4 different color groups, right? Group 5, group 6, group 7, group 9. I've been working on group 8, but I'm not done with it. So I got group 9, group 10, and group 11. Okay, so the reason for all these groups is I just want to give myself a different perspective, a different angle on things. Okay, so here with this group 11, of course there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers, so that means 6 of these groups cannot have a winning Powerball number to it. So your odds of picking this correct are pretty good. Now when we go back to group 3, the odds of you picking pretty good here are pretty bad. Okay? So, again, this is all about perspective. Now, if I could correctly pick one of these things where the 0 is going to come up, then I can knock out 23 numbers at once, which would be huge. Okay, so here's the thing about these groups. I have 5 option cards per group. Now, the reason why I have 5 is so I can have an overview of things and a majority. Okay, so this is kind of like a bad example to show you. So let me go to a different one. Let me go to group 6 for 1 second, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so let's follow just one color. Okay, let's just follow this blue. So you can see it's a 0. There's 1 0. There's 2 zeros, 3 zeros. Okay, so here I only count the zeros on the overview, and you can see that there's 3 zeros here. Okay, so the zeros won the majority, so I colored the background blue for cold. Here, the hits won the majority, so I colored the background red for hot. So what I'm trying to do is correctly guess where a blue mark is going to be. Now, if I think a blue mark is going to be here in the red, and I'm correct, then that means at least 3 of these option cards are going to have a 0 in the red area. Okay, so let me go back to this group 3. And what I'm going to do is, again, invite you to play along. Okay, so what I mean by that is I like you to draw out the game card like this. And let's say that you decided to go with no green numbers as well. Then you would need to X out where those green numbers were. Okay, so this is how you could play at home. You could X out and X out and X out, and whatever squares are left, those are the numbers you're going to be going with. Okay, so moving on. What I like to do for you at home is I'm going to scroll down for a little bit, and then I'm going to scroll back up, stop for a second, and you guys need to make a decision on where you think the 0 is going to be. Okay, so again, what I like to look for is long streaks like this 57. And I like to pick where a 1 is going to be. So if a 0 is going to be here, I'll be putting a 1. And a 1 comes up a lot for some reason. 1 comes up a lot for some reason throughout the game. Okay, throughout all these option cards. So here for option card number 2. Again, I've scrolled down, I scroll back up. You make a decision at home, all of a sudden you're saying, oh, my gut feeling says red right here, so I'm going to get rid of all these red numbers, all right? So you would X out all these red numbers off of your game card. Okay, so again, I rarely ever pick from group 3 and group 4, just because they're so hard to pick. But I like to keep them around as an option, just in case I see something someday where it's just so blatantly obvious that I gotta go with it. Okay, and what do I mean by something that's blatantly obvious? Well, sometimes some of these zeros double up, like right here. So when I see a streak of like single zeros, I'm going to predict that it's going to double up at some point, okay? Okay, so moving on, the last one, again, I only have 5 option cards per group. So here's another one that I would recommend, this orange. Maybe the 0 will be right here. Okay. But for me, I'm not going to pick at any of these. And I'm going to move on to group 4. Okay, so here's group 4. Again, if there's a 0, I color the background blue for cold. And here I write down how many are in this column. So there's 138 zeros here. So there's 126 here, 112, 142. Okay, so kind of looking at this blue saying, well, it's a little bit low compared to the others. So maybe it will catch up at some point. And how's it going to catch up? By having lots of zeros come up. Okay, so here the overview is this. This is in the green area, won the majority for misses. In the orange, there was no zeros at all. There's 1 0 in the blue, 2 in the red. So when a 0 comes up, usually it doesn't do this, have another 0. Of course it can, anything could happen. But I'm predicting that it's probably going to not go 3 zeros in a row. Okay, so I think there's going to be at least 1 or 2 misses here in the orange. So this is what I'm looking at, and now I'm going to look at the orange areas to kind of predict where I think that 0 is going to be. And I don't like the first one, so I'm going to leave this one alone. And again, if you're paying attention at home here, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. I'm just looking how many single zeros are over here. And finally, you know, it all grouped up all at once. Just kind of wondering if this is going to keep on going. So if you think it is, then X out all these red areas. But I'm going to leave it alone. Okay, so this was last drawing. I said no red numbers are going to come up. I got burned. 2 red numbers came up. That's why I didn't win the lottery. All right, so looking at this. Again, I'm looking at all the single zeros in the green and red areas here. I'm kind of liking this green, but the thing is that I said that I think more numbers are going to be over here to the right side than the left, so I'm going to leave this one alone as well, and I'm going to move on to number 4. And again, I'm looking at the orange areas. Okay, so here I see a streak of 20 drawings in a row. One of these orange numbers have come up. Now what I find is when it goes on a long streak like that, like the 16, usually the next streak isn't as long. So here's one with 19, and then the next streak was 6. Here it is, 24. The next streak was 4. 20. The next streak was 6. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at here. Went on a streak of 20, and now it's up to 3, and I'm looking at orange areas. And I think I'm going to go with this one. Okay, so I'm going to mark it. Now the reason why I marked this is so I, next drawing like I just did, I could see if I was correct or wrong, So I'm going to go with this, and it's all the same pattern of the 2, 4, 65, 27 in all 4 squares. So here I'll get rid of the 8 because it shares the square with that 66 and the 2931. I get rid of the 34, 36, 57, 59. I get rid of the 40. Okay, so again, I'm going to get rid of the 227, the 631, 29, 33, 34, 36, 57, 59, and the 40. So I'll get rid of all those numbers, and again, hopefully those numbers do not come up. Okay, so moving on. Looking at this next one, you can see that this red is like way far behind. Okay, so, sometimes, if you're looking at this saying, geez, I don't have a clue on where this mark is going to be, that's the way that I feel too sometimes, but I don't see anything here at number 5, so I'm going to leave this one alone. So this is why I created so many options for myself, okay, because sometimes I don't see anything. I look at it, I'm like, I don't know, But other times I do, like this blue right here. I mean, look how many single blue marks there are. I mean, when's it going to double up? Is it going to double up this one or some other time in the future, So over here, this is the overview. And again, I'm looking at this and I see a bunch of single blue marks in the blue. So I'm gonna think that this is going to be a blue mark as well. So I'm going to go for this one. All right, so I'm going to mark it. And now I'm going to pick this blue. So it's 5 to the 7 and the 17 to the 20. So hopefully those numbers do not come up. And then I'm going to get rid of the 54, 55, and the 41 to the 44. And again, hopefully those numbers do not come up. Okay, so moving on. Option card number 2 out of 5. Again, this is what I went for last drawing. And you can see that I got it wrong. It was the 49 and the 65 that I got wrong. So I don't want to do that again this drawing. Okay, so here I really don't see anything. So I'm going to leave this one alone. This purple one looks pretty good. The only thing I really don't like it has a bunch of numbers here in this corner where I think the majority of the numbers are going to come up for this drawing. Okay, so looking at this one. And again, this is what I mean by a 1 comes up a lot. Look how many 1s have just come up here, okay? I really don't see anything for myself. So I like to pause it like this, okay? So you could pause the video and then X out the numbers that you need to X out, okay? So I'll try to leave you a little cushion like that, but I need to keep on going to make sure the video isn't 18 hours long, Okay, so looking at this. Again, here I go with the blue again. I like this blue. I think it's going to double up. So I'm going to mark it. I'm going to go with this one. Okay, so taking a closer look at this, I'm going to change my mind because I think more even numbers are going to come up than odd, and you can see that all these numbers are even. So I don't like that. So I'm going to switch this. I'm going to turn it to purple, which means I changed my mind. And when I look at it in the next drawing, I can say, well, I should have kept it, you know. Okay, so moving on. Option card number 5. I kind of like this long streak of red over here. Now, another way to read this is that over here to the right, this tells me how many blue marks there were. And over here to the left, this tells me if a 0 followed a 0, like right here. You can see that a 0 hasn't followed a 0 in a little while. So I'm going to predict that there's going to be a 1 here, and I'm going to say that this doubles up. Okay, so I like this one better because there's no really blue numbers here in this corner, and the one that's here is odd. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the 9, 10, 19, 28, 21 to start. So I'll get rid of those numbers. And then the next is the 37, 47, 56, 62. So I'll get rid of those 3 numbers. And then the last one is the 33, 44, 33, 42, 51, 59. And I'll get rid of those numbers. Okay, so again, hopefully I made the correct pick so far, and the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers are still left here on my game card. Okay, so I'm moving on. I'm all done with this group 5, so I'm moving on to group 6. Now I'm going to go right to the overview. And certainly this red has been really hot, so when's it going to start to cool down? So I kind of like the red and the blue, possibly the purple. Actually, a lot of them look pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to, this is the last drawing. I went for this. I got it wrong. I knocked out 2 numbers. So I knocked out the 1 and the 65. So here I like this blue because there's no blue numbers here. So I'm going to go with this one. Again, hopefully this is going to double up. So I'm going to get rid of the 2, 10, 19, 67, 27. You can see there's no numbers here. So the next I'm going to go with the 33, 43, 50, 59, 60. So I'll get rid of that 50. Okay, and then it's the 37, 63, and those are gone. Okay, so again, hopefully I made the correct picks. Okay, so moving on. Option card number 2. Again, this was last drawing. I got this correct. It's always nice to get something correct. This orange looks pretty good. I like how that they're all odd numbers. And I think I'm going to go with this orange here. So I'm going to mark it. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the 15 and the 51. No, the 15 and the 49. That 49 just came up, so hopefully it won't be coming up. Sometimes they do. And I'm going to get rid of the 39 as well. Okay, so hopefully those numbers do not come up. Okay, so moving on, option card number 3. Here I went with the red in the last drawing. You can see I got that wrong with that 49. Again, another reason why I didn't win last week. Last drawing. Okay, so here I like this green. Now the reason why I like this green is you can see that some of these columns have, you know, at least 3 or more zeros. 3 or more zeros, 3 or more zeros. Here in this green, it hasn't had 3 or more zeros yet. So I was thinking about it, but now I just see this a bunch of even numbers here. And now I don't like it. So I'm going to leave it alone. Okay, so moving on. Well, before I go too far, I'm going to go with this red. I mean, look how hot this red has been. I'm going to go for it. So I'm going to mark this one. So I'm going to get rid of the 4, 9, 17, the 13, 21, the 8, 66, 40, 45, 69, 41, 49. I don't know why I got rid of that 48. I'm going to get rid of the 13 out of all that. Okay, but it's one less number off of my game card. Okay, so I like this streak on the blue. See no blue numbers here, so I like this one. I'm going to go with this one. And I'm going to get rid of the 1, 10, 18, 28. So I'll get rid of the 1. The 5, 23, 29. I'm sorry, it's the blue. The 36, 42, 49, 53. I'll get rid of the 53. Then the 39, 64, 69, which are all gone. Okay, so moving on. My last option card, you can see that I picked here in the blue and I got that correct. Okay, so looking at this, I really don't like any of these, so I'm going to leave this one alone and move on to the next one, Group 7. Okay, so after Group 7, it jumps up to Group 9, then it's 9, 10, and 11, and then that's it. Okay, so we're getting down there. Looking at the overview here, I kind of like the red, I like the blue. Okay, so I don't know, they all kind of look the same. Okay, so here in the last drawing, I got this one correct. Now here's something where I haven't seen 3 zeros in a row, like over here, or over here, or over here. Most columns have it except for this gray. So I'm going to predict that this gray is going to finally have 3 zeros in a row. So I'm going to go with the 31, the 44, 50, 58, 68, 59. So I'll get rid of the 58. Then the 45, 54, 61. Which there's nothing there. Okay, so you can see I'm getting down here. I got 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 8 numbers here. So the reason why I believe in this game is because one time, after all the times that I've been doing this, I reduced the numbers down to 10 numbers, and the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers landed within those 10 numbers. Okay, so that day I only got 2 numbers correct, but I looked at it and said, hey, the game did what I wanted it to do. It gave myself a much better chance at winning a really good prize. Okay, so here, when I get down to this many numbers, this is where I really want to follow my 50-50 picks. Okay, so I want more even numbers than odd, and you can see that I got 5 evens and 3 odd, or 6 evens and 7 evens and 2 odd, or 1 odd. Okay, more to the right, I kind of like that, and more to blue. Everything's kind of working out pretty good here. Okay. So now to keep on moving on. All right, so the next option card number 2 in this Group 7. One thing that kind of sticks out to me is this blue area, because I only see one thing of 3 zeros in a row, where a lot of these columns have, you know, like 2 sets of 3 or more. Okay, so even if I like this blue, there's no numbers to get rid of. Okay, so I'm not going to waste time marking it. Okay, so moving on. Again, I kind of like this blue over here. Went on a streak of 12, then 7, now it's up to 5. Represents all odd numbers. I like that. But I don't believe that there's any numbers to get rid of. Okay, so moving on. Actually, the 35. I'll get rid of the 35. Okay, so don't want to forget to mark it. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so looking at this one, starting from the bottom. I'm not sure if I like this at all. I guess I don't like it because I'm not going to pick. All right, so I'm moving on to number 5. This was last drawing. Again, it's nice to have a correct guess every once in a while. All right, so here I don't like anything, and I'm going to leave this one alone. Okay, so moving on to group 9. Okay, here's the overview. Certainly the first thing that sticks out is this orange. Okay, so looking at this one, I noticed that the streaks don't get very long. Okay, so here you can see that. Let's pick out the orange. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers to get rid of. Okay, so the more I go up, the less numbers I get to get rid of. Okay, so more down here, group 3, group 4, group 5, group 6. You know, if I could pick those correctly, I'm going to knock out a bunch of numbers at once. Okay, so again, much harder to do down here, and it should be a little bit easier with so many groups. Easier, but still really hard. All right, so my prediction. Sometimes I look at this and I say, wow, there's been a huge blue streak, so maybe there's a number that's going to be due to be coming up. Okay, so I want to look at both angles. Okay, so let me give you more time to pause the video if you need to. And now I'll move on to number 2. Okay, so again, I'm looking. Kind of like this gray right here. You can see that there's never been 3 zeros in a row. So this one I got correct in the last drawing, so I'm going to go with this gray. The 2, 4, 10, 27. Okay, so the 2, 4, 10, 27, I don't think there's anything left. There's not. And then it's the 38, 47, 61, 63, so that should be all gone as well. And there's nothing there. Okay, so I'm moving on. So this is what I mean with this gray. I mean, is it going to be another blue mark? Let's see what we got going on. 34, 41, 50, 43. There's nothing there, so hopefully it stays another 0 here, okay? I really don't see anything here for myself. I'm going to leave this one alone. And this is what I mean with this purple. I mean, these streaks don't get very long. When it only represents 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers out of 69. Okay, so how many times can this come up in a row with 61 other numbers out there? Okay, so Okay, so let me take a look at that again. And there's no numbers to get rid of, even if I like that purple. Okay, so here I'm not really sure. I'm gonna leave this one alone. This was the last drawing. You can see I got that wrong. Okay, so that's it for group 9. I'm not going to pick from this one either, so I'm going to move on to group 10. And I have group 11 as well. And I got 4, 5, 6, 7, so I just need to get down to 2 more numbers. I need to eliminate 2 more numbers. Okay, so looking at this brown, possibly the orange. And here's a situation with a 0. And you can see when a 0 comes up, sometimes a 0 does follow, but most of the time, I'd say it doesn't. So keep an eye on that green. Okay, so here in the last drawing, you can see I went with this yellow. I got that wrong. Kind of like this brown one, but I don't believe that there's anything left. Okay, so I'm going to leave that alone. So looking at this one, I like this gray. I don't believe it gets rid of anything though. No. Okay, so I'm going to move on. I mean, look at this pink over here where you hardly see any marks. Okay, so let's see what the pink is. 35, 42, 50, 51, 44. Okay, so there's nothing there, so hopefully that pink keeps on going cold. Here I got this one wrong as well. So I kind of like this green over here to maybe have a hit. 15, 22, 29. Nothing there. Hopefully it keeps on going cold. Okay, so moving on. Okay, here I kind of like this brown. I don't believe there's anything to get rid of. There's not. This is the last drawing. I got this one correct. Okay, so moving on. Number 5, I went with this last time. I got burned. Okay, so I don't really like this brown one. Okay, so I didn't see anything. So moving on to the last one. Option card, group 11, I mean. This is it. If I don't get it here, I'll have to go over all the options again. Okay, so here I'm looking at green. And I'm going to stick with that for now. Okay, so this was the last drawing here. I got this one correct. Okay, really don't see anything. So I'm going to move on. So when I see something like 4 in a row here, that's pretty good. But unfortunately, I don't see anything to knock out. Okay, so moving on. Again with the brown. And again, there's nothing to get rid of. Okay, so I like the orange, the 1, 3, 17, 28, and it's nothing there. Looking over at this dark green, looks like this might double up here. So what's dark green? The 48. I'm kind of thinking this 48 might come right back up. I do like it that it's on the right side and that it's evens. Okay, last one. I need to get rid of 2 numbers here. So here you can see in this gray, I got this one correct. Okay, so I kind of like the yellow. No, maybe not. All right. Take a look at this again. All right, which ones to get rid of? I kind of like this pink. So I like the 52. I like the 48. I'm liking the 16. again, I like the 16, I like the 48, I like the 52. I'm going to go back to this group 10. And I think I'm going to get rid of this pink right here. So I'll get rid of the 14 and the 32. And finally, that will bring me down to 5 numbers. Okay, so let me just highlight these. So again, I thought there was going to be more even numbers than odd. So you can see that they're all even. More to the low side, the 12, 16, 30 will make that happen. More to the right, the 16, 30, 48. And more to the blue, the 16, 30, 52. Okay, so I think Sherlock Holmes said it the best when he said it's a matter of deduction. So if these blocked out numbers don't come up, then these 5 highlighted numbers have to come up. So now it comes down to, what are the odds that I made the correct picks? Well, let me go over the official odds. The official odds to get the grand prize, all 5 white ball numbers and a red ball, the odds are 292 million that you're going to get it correct. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct, and what I mean by that is that the game is geared up for the white balls. I love to win the grand prize, of course. Okay, so just to get the white balls correct, the odds are 1 in 11,688,000. Okay, so in other words, you can make nearly 12 million 5-number combinations out of 69 numbers. Okay, so I don't want to give any kind of illusions that this is going to be easy to win. So another great prize to win would be 4 white ball numbers and a red ball. That pays $50,000 plus the power play if you play it. And you can see that the odds are just about 1 in a million. Okay, so I wanted to give myself some perspective. And that is, if I spend $3 per drawing, there's 2 drawings per week. That means I will gamble and most likely lose $312 per year because the odds are so steep playing my game Decoding the Powerball. Okay, so some people have asked me in the past, hey, if you think you're going to lose $300 a year, then why do you even play? Well, I think we can all agree on, in order to win, you need to play. And for me, I'd just rather pick my own destiny than take an easy pick or a quick pick. Okay, so moving on, I do have something for the Powerball number itself. Now, there's 26 red ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. So over here in this column, I just divided the numbers in 2. So if you see a blue number, that's low, 1 to 13. If you see a red number, that's high, 14 to 26. Over here in this column, I divided the numbers in odds and evens. So if you see a red number, that's odds. If you see a blue number, that's evens. Now, this green mark tells me that the Powerball repeated. So you can see the 24 came up, it repeated, and repeated again. Okay, so off to the sides, again, I like to break things down into 5, so it shows me that majority. And here, looking at this, now I'm looking at this, I see 3 blue, 3 blue, 3 blue. I'm going to say that this goes on a little streak like this and goes more than 3, okay? So I'm going to say that this is blue, which means I think it's going to be a low number, a 1 through 13. And over here, you can see that even numbers have been coming up a lot. So I'm going to say that this is going to be an odd number right here. Okay, so I think the Powerball number will be a low odd number. Okay, and the number I'm going to go with is the 9. Okay, the 9 just came up, but it hasn't come up in a while. Before that time, it's been way down here. So I'm going to predict that the 9 is going to get a little hot here. Okay, so I think the 9 is going to come right back up. So how I like to word this is that my best guess is that the Powerball numbers will be the 12, 16, 30, 48, 52, and the Powerball number 9. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so in closing, I'd just like to thank you for watching. Again, you can get my game through my Patreon page at patreon.com/decoding the Powerball. Okay, so there's lots of people like me that have their own systems out there. But if you don't, and this kind of makes sense to you, and you want to pick your own numbers like I do, then feel free to check out my Patreon page. Or if you'd like to give me any feedback, then please email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Again, that's just decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Okay, and finally, I'd just like to thank you for watching again. And as always, I want to wish you the best of luck with your picks.